Welcome to The Explainer. Today, we're taking a look at one of the absolute largest, most transformative infrastructure projects in human history. I'm talking about the massive global build-out of the electric vehicle charging network. But we're going to look at it through a completely different lens today. We're going to totally unplug the standard narrative you hear on the news and look at the real forces driving this massive shift.
Okay, let's dive right in with a question that might kind of challenge your assumptions. What if EV chargers aren't really about electricity at all? Like, what if the electricity is literally just the delivery mechanism, and the real products being sold here are actually data, software subscriptions, and everyday shopping? Well, that is exactly the hidden ecosystem we're unpacking in today's Explainer, using direct insights from the industry giants themselves.
Section 1. The Intelligent Electrification Revolution.
To really understand this macro shift, we have to look at the corporate giants building the actual infrastructure. ChargePoint is obviously one of the central players powering this transition at absolute scale. And what's really fascinating about their approach, straight out of their latest SEC filings, mind you, is that they do not view the charging market as a simple hardware play. No way. They view it as an intelligence layer.
In fact, ChargePoint refers to this era as the next industrial revolution, and they say it's driven by three core pillars: electric vehicles, autonomous mobility, and artificial intelligence. They note that demand is already surging right now just from the cars currently on the road. And why is that? Because let's face it, once someone goes electric, they stay electric. The EV retention rate is sitting above 90%. But the real future they're building for, that's autonomous vehicles and AI-driven fleet management. Because ad hoc random networks just won't work for self-driving cars. They absolutely require intelligent, automated infrastructure to schedule and optimize charging without human intervention.
So, the crucial point here is summed up perfectly by ChargePoint's president and CEO, Rick Wilmer. He said, ChargePoint is not a charging station company. ChargePoint is a technology company. I mean, that distinction is everything. This is a massive tech and software revolution that's just masquerading as a utility replacement.
Moving on to Section 2, hardware-enabled, software-led. The shift in business models here is stark. The old way of thinking about EV charging meant companies actually owning the physical charging assets themselves, carrying all the merchant risk, and frankly depending heavily on government subsidies just to survive. But the new model? It uses a super capital-light design. ChargePoint builds and sells the hardware, the software, and the services, but they deliver all of that to customers who actually own and operate the infrastructure. They carry zero merchant risk. This model is incredibly powerful. Why? Because every single charging port deployed is essentially a data node. When they drop commercial hardware into the real world, it instantly locks in a recurring software relationship. Customers absolutely need that software for energy dispatch, fleet scheduling, and demand response. It creates this highly durable, constantly compounding engine of recurring revenue.
And the proof is right there in the numbers. Because of this software-led approach, we're seeing massive improvements in profitability. Just look at this growth in non-GAAP gross margin. We're talking a jump from 26% in fiscal year 2025 all the way up to 32% for the full fiscal year 2026. This isn't from some random one-time tailwinds. This is directly from a better product mix and high-margin software scaling up.
Which brings us to this absolutely massive number, $162 million. That is ChargePoint subscription revenue, which grew 13% year over year. I want you to really think about that. Nearly 40% of their total revenue is now coming from recurring software subscriptions, not just selling big metal boxes that plug into cars.
All right, Section 3, retail's big EV pivot. Let's look at the Walmart model.
So, how does this high-tech, AI-driven future actually impact your everyday life? Well, look at this staggering statistic. Over 90% of Americans live within just 10 miles of a Walmart. Retail giants are quickly realizing that they're uniquely positioned to solve the EV infrastructure gap simply because of their massive, widespread real estate footprints.
And Walmart is capitalizing on this super aggressively. They are actively building a retail integrated fast charging network. They are soon to be operating in 29 states with a huge upcoming push into California. And we aren't talking about those slow trickle charges either. These are 400 kilowatt fast chargers. They already have over 612 individual charging stalls active. They're available 24 hours a day, all integrated directly into the Walmart app. Basically, you charge your car while you buy your groceries. It's seamless.
For a retailer, the absolute most crucial point is removing friction, and that requires a universal hardware approach. By partnering with top tech companies like ABB e-mobility and Alpatronic, Walmart makes sure each stall features dual charging cables. They support both the newer, compact NAC standard and the incredibly broad legacy CCS standard. They are basically future-proofing their stations so that no matter what kind of EV you drive, you can just pull up and plug in at Walmart.
But remember earlier when we said this wasn't just about electricity? Walmart uses this infrastructure as a massive perk to drive retail loyalty. Walmart Plus members actually receive 10% off the average 46 cents per kilowatt-hour charging rate. It is such a brilliant way to drive subscription memberships and ensure those drivers choose Walmart over any competitor down the street. Which leads us to Section 4, gamifying the wait time. Let's talk about charging and commerce. Even with those high-speed fast chargers we mentioned, EV drivers still often spend anywhere between 15 and 45 minutes parked. Historically, that's been viewed as a huge driver inconvenience, right? Like just time spent staring at your steering wheel. But what if we reframe that entirely? That 15 to 45-minute window is actually a highly captive audience. These drivers are physically parked near restaurants, coffee shops, and retail stores, creating this massive, totally untapped opportunity for local commerce.
Enter platforms like Nereva. They are taking this EV downtime and turning it into an interactive shopping experience. It works like a simple three-step puzzle. First, you plug in your EV. Second, their app surfaces nearby walkable local merchants, completely bridging that discovery gap. And third, you actually earn cash rewards for verified charging sessions when you engage with those local businesses. You literally turn your waiting time into earning time.
Nereva basically positions itself as a programmable incentive layer. It acts as the glue for the whole shebang. It handles charging verification, it distributes the rewards, it allows local merchants to advertise directly to drivers sitting right in their vicinity, and it even facilitates sponsor-funded campaigns. The electricity is literally just the excuse to get you there. The software network is what actually monetizes your time.
So, that brings us to our final thought for today's explainer. How will your daily routine change when your car becomes a node in a localized commerce and software network? We've seen how ChargePoint uses data for AI fleet management, how Walmart leverages charging for grocery loyalty, and how platforms like Nereva will literally pay you to shop locally while you wait. The EV revolution is absolutely here, but as we've seen, the real power isn't in the plug, it's in the data. Thank you so much for joining me on this explainer. Keep questioning the systems around you, and I will see you next time.